Brace yourself. In early October 2025, a monstrous storm devoured Spain's Mediterranean coast, unleashing chaos unseen for decades. In mere hours, over 7 inches of rain pounded Tarragona, submerging entire towns, Montsià, Ràpita, Godall, and Alcanar. Rivers burst their banks. Highways became torrents of mud. Cars, homes, and businesses vanished under a relentless surge of churning brown water. Meteorologists called it a once-in-a-lifetime deluge, a catastrophic clash of warm sea air and icy northern winds that birthed a superstorm over Catalonia. By nightfall, the Ebro Delta, Europe's flattest and most fertile plain, was an inland sea. For thousands, it was a night of raw terror, a brutal reminder that nature's fury can shatter even the sturdiest defenses. By early afternoon, the skies over Catalonia turned apocalyptic black. Thunder roared across the Ebro Delta as torrential rain hammered Ràpita. The first deluge hit just after noon, and within minutes, streets were swallowed by 3 feet of raging water. Residents spoke of a deafening roar, as if the sea itself had broken loose. Cars were torn from driveways. Shop windows buckled and shattered. Families scrambled upstairs as water surged higher. By 2 p.m., the AP7 highway was paralyzed in both directions. Dashcam footage showed vehicles swept sideways, bobbing like toys in the flood. In Godall, flash floods ripped through narrow streets, dragging mud, branches, and debris through the town square. Power grids collapsed. Phone lines went dead. For thousands in Montsià, rescue calls couldn't break through. In just 6 hours, over 7 inches of rain drenched an area spanning 30 square miles. This wasn't just rain. It was a merciless wall of water, obliterating everything in its path. As night fell over Tarragona, the storm hit its ferocious peak. By 9 p.m., Montsià was plunged into darkness, power wiped out entirely. Only lightning flashes and wailing sirens pierced the drowned streets of Ràpita and Alcanar. Police cars waded through waist-deep water, blaring urgent warnings through loudspeakers. Stay inside. Seek higher ground. But for many, escape was impossible. Families were trapped in second-floor apartments, banging on windows for rescue. Elderly residents clung to floating furniture as currents tore through their homes. In the fishing port, boats broke free, smashing against concrete piers. Firefighters and rescue teams battled relentlessly, fielding over 30 emergency calls an hour. Stranded drivers, flooded basements, missing people. Schools and sports halls became makeshift shelters where volunteers distributed blankets and water to hundreds of evacuees. Outside, the storm's wrath continued. Savage wind gusts ripped signs and shutters from buildings. The grinding roar of debris, cars, trees, even chunks of collapsed structures echoed beneath the floodwaters. By midnight, Tarragona was a province under siege. For thousands huddled in darkness, one question loomed. Would the waters rise again before dawn? Meteorologists dubbed it a Mediterranean supercell, a rare, violent beast born when warm, moisture-heavy sea air slams into cold, upper-level winds. This time, the conditions were catastrophic. In early October, sea temperatures off Spain's east coast were nearly 3 degrees Celsius above normal, fueling the atmosphere with explosive energy. A low-pressure front from the Atlantic ignited the chaos, spawning a rotating column of thunderstorms that stretched for miles, feeding on its own fury like a living force. This perfect storm dumped over 7 inches of rain in under 12 hours, a month's worth of precipitation in a single day. The Ebro Delta's flat terrain offered no escape for the water. It spread relentlessly across farmland, towns, and highways, forming a shallow inland sea. Experts warned these once-in-a-century events are no longer rare. Warmer oceans breed wetter air, and wetter air brings heavier rain. Tarragona's deluge wasn't an outlier. It was a glimpse of what's coming. At dawn, the storm's grip finally weakened, but the devastation was staggering. Entire neighborhoods in Ràpita and Godall lay submerged. Roads had crumbled into mud. Cars were piled like wreckage along the coast. By sunrise, the Catalan Civil Protection Agency launched Operation Delta, a massive emergency response mobilizing over 300 firefighters, police, and rescue teams across Montsià. Military units joined, deploying helicopters and amphibious vehicles to reach stranded residents. Boats navigated flooded streets, plucking families from rooftops. In one viral moment, a firefighter carried a toddler through waist-deep water, his jacket glowing under a floodlight's beam. In Alcanar, medics braved chest-deep currents to save an elderly couple trapped overnight. Over 1,500 people were evacuated in 24 hours. Schools and sports halls turned into shelters, with volunteers handing out food, blankets, and first aid. Amid the chaos, humanity shone. Ordinary citizens became heroes, using kayaks and trucks to rescue neighbors they barely knew. It was solidarity forged in crisis, where fear met courage and survival became a collective fight. When the rain stopped, Tarragona woke to an eerie silence, the kind that follows ruin. As waters receded, the toll emerged. Streets were buried in mud. Farm equipment lay toppled. La Ràpita's bustling port was now a graveyard of shattered boats and debris. Agricultural officials called it the Ebro Delta's worst flooding in 30 years. Thousands of acres of olive groves, citrus orchards, and greenhouses were obliterated, with losses topping $150 million on inland. Washed-out bridges and ruined highways isolated villages for days, stranding families and supplies. Residents returned to waterlogged homes, ruined crops, and walls stained with 3-foot-high mudlines. Insurance claims swamped local offices, with many facing unrecoverable losses. Beyond the numbers, the emotional toll cut deep. Livelihoods erased, childhood homes destroyed, communities forced to rebuild from nothing. One farmer staring at his drowned orchard told local media, "The storm didn't just take the harvest, it stole our future." Tarragona's floods were more than a local tragedy. They were a wake-up call. Even in modern Europe, where infrastructure seems unbreakable, nature holds the final word. Experts warn that extreme rainfall is becoming more frequent and ferocious across the Mediterranean, driven by warmer oceans and wetter air. Each storm grows heavier, faster, and harder to predict. For locals, the lesson is personal. Families who lost everything now know rebuilding isn't just about bricks. It's about readiness. Resilience must start long before the next storm looms. Yet amid the wreckage, something extraordinary emerged. Unity. Strangers saved strangers. Farmers cleared debris with their tractors. Fishermen used boats to evacuate the elderly. These fleeting, powerful moments prove survival isn't just strength, it's compassion. When nature strikes, humanity fights back together. As the sun rises over the Ebro Delta, the floodwaters retreat, exposing scars, cracked roads, shattered homes, fields drowned in silence. But beneath the devastation burns something fiercer: determination. Residents sweep mud from doorways. Volunteers deliver supplies by hand. Children return to classrooms that days ago were shelters. Life's fragile rhythm resumes, unyielding. Tarragona's story isn't Spain's alone. It's a global warning. If this story struck a chord, like, share, and subscribe to stay informed and spread the word. Understanding nature's wrath is the first step to surviving it.